Hey everyone, it's Hamish from the Young Investors Podcast. Myself and Brandon are excited to bring you your weekly rundown of the latest business and investing news from around the world. A quick reminder before we get started, any advice provided by Brandon is general and does not consider your financial situation, needs, or objectives, so consider whether it's appropriate for you. Brandon van der Kolk is authorised to provide general financial product advice in Australia and is authorised representative number 1305795 of Guideway Financial Services Proprietary Limited, AFSL number 420367. Please see the description box for Brandon's financial services guide. Past performance is not a reliable indication of future investment returns. But with that said, let's get into another episode of the Young Investors Podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back to yet another episode of the Young Investors Podcast. We are back from America.
Yep.
We're both recovered from our various illnesses.
Yeah.
No, wait, what's that? Word just in. Hamish is still sick.
Yeah, I think last year I didn't get sick after the Berkshire meeting. And I probably said something stupid like, oh, maybe I don't get sick while I travel anymore. And so, yeah, now of course I'm sick. So, yeah.
Maybe we've got an immunologist or someone that listens to our podcast that can help us out. Because whenever we travel together, whenever we go to the States, somehow we just get sick.
Yeah.
And it's not a great time. I want to learn, what are the hacks that I need to do to try and survive the journey? Is it what's making us sick? Are we catching something on the plane? Is it something to do with our immune system, because we're not sleeping or we've got the jet lag and our body clocks have flipped? What is it? The answer's probably
a mix of
combination of everything.
Yeah. I'd have to imagine it has a lot to do with just the lack of sleep and also traveling in places where there probably are people who do have things that you're kind of vulnerable to catching. So.
That's true, actually. The thing I think about, because we just meet so many people. I mean, we go from a lifestyle at home where I don't think you would say we meet particularly many people. No. We kind of we work by ourselves. Yeah. And then we're kind of in this environment where we just meet everyone. We meet hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people.
That is true.
And we're just shaking hundreds of hands, being close with hundreds of people, talking to them. Maybe just it's the law of averages,
True. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's unfortunate, but it's the cost of travel. Yep. I feel like my jet lag though is finally fixed. You think
you're back on Australian time?
Yeah, but that always takes me a long time. Especially when we do a couple of the times when we've gone to the US, we've done kind of 2 or 3 weeks in the US. And I feel like that's enough time to kind of adjust. But when we do the 1 week turnaround, I feel like I'm just adjusted to US time and then we come back. And there's got to be something bad about doing that. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. No, but we're back. We had a great trip. And that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about. We are going to be talking about our Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting recap.
Yep.
And we've also got some 13Fs to go through as well,
yes,
because they were released, just a few hours ago, as we're talking right now. So there's a lot of juicy, hot off the press news, and we'll also have a little bit of a chat about how our trip went, because it was good fun.
Yeah,
it was good fun.
And with that said, today's episode is brought to you by Seeking Alpha, your one-stop shop for stock analysis, market data, and news. Access expert analysis and news for thousands of stocks. View buy, hold, and sell ratings from members, Wall Street analysts, and Seeking Alpha's own algorithm. Screen for stocks using a variety of fundamental and technical analysis metrics. Access 10 years of financial data and company filings, and manage your portfolio by tracking your investments with price alerts, so you never miss a buying opportunity again. Click the link in the episode description or head directly to seekingalpha.me/young investors to try Seeking Alpha free for 7 days. Where should we begin?
Well, let's just talk about the Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting. It was a very interesting meeting. We met up with Nate O'Brien, and we met up with Richard Coffin from the Plain Bagels. So we had the awesome foursome going to this meeting. And that was really, really fun. Those guys are awesome. They were really, really fun to hang out with.
And neither of us had met them before, I think. We talked online kind of briefly, I had met them before, and so it's nice to it's just interesting actually finally meeting people that you've known online through their content, and then you've talked to them a little bit. It was great though.
Yeah, no, it was really, really cool. They're both really nice people, so it was good to hang out with them, get to know them a little bit more. We went to the Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting. We did our usual rigmarole of waking up at, what did we wake up at, like 3:34 in the morning, and getting over to the meeting and standing in line in the cold weather. And but no, it's all part of it. You got to embrace that stuff. You have to embrace it because it's just fun. It's the one time of the year that all of the value investors are kind of in the same place at the same time. We all get to mingle and chat with each other. So it's just, even though it's really early in the morning waiting for the Berkshire meeting to start at, what is it, like 8 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
It's still really, really good fun. But yeah, anyway, we worked our way in. Finally, we took our seats, and then it was over to Warren, and we had some pretty big news topics. One that has been breaking all around the world over the last week is that Warren Buffett, this is the last thing that happened in the shareholder meeting. He's deciding that he doesn't want to be CEO anymore. He's going to pass over the reins to Greg Abel. What's your take on that? Fair enough, I think. 94 years old.
Well, I mean, of course, it's been something that's been planned and known. We've known this was coming for some time. But I think it was still very unexpected for almost everybody that it was going to happen at this specific meeting. Although I will say, we were catching an Uber a few days before the meeting, and the Uber driver just kind of blurts out, "Oh yeah, Buffett's planning on retiring at this meeting." And all of us kind of looked at each other and laughed and said, "Nah, he's probably gonna stay as CEO until the day he dies, or like until he gets sick or something." We kind of just laughed it off. Which was actually funny when he finally announced it, because
except for you, we were all laughing it off, but you were kind of like, "Oh, the puts."
Yeah, I don't do any kind of like options trading or anything at all. I don't think I've ever even bought an options contract. But sometimes I like looking at the prices just because it's kind of funny to look at. And obviously, buying kind of short-term bets on price movements is complete gambling. But I did look at before the meeting. I looked at how much you would kind of make if Berkshire stock dropped kind of 5% on when the market opened on Monday, which might have happened. Let's say if he announced his retirement, and it was basically a 10-1 bet. If I'd kind of listened to that Uber driver and bought some kind of 1 week put option contracts. For Berkshire,
because that's what happened in the end. How much did Berkshire go down? Went down like 5% or something.
Well, when the market opened on Monday, it was down, I think, 6 or 7%. The highest I saw the puts go to was 1,000% return that morning. So you could have made 1,000% if you sold, out straight away, and then the stock actually recovered a little bit. So they ended up only paying like 5-1 if you held it to the end of the day or something like that. But that's still quite.
So that was our inside joke for the whole trip in the days following the meeting.
Yeah.
Whenever everybody settled down and there was a quiet moment, someone would just go, the puts.
Not the puts.
The puts. Not the puts.
Yeah. So
the
that
Uber driver knew all along.
That was a missed opportunity from the Uber driver who was
Uber driver knew.
The Uber driver is the real oracle of Omaha. He knew.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, he knew.
How did he know? That was wild. Anyway, he did know, and Berkshire stock did go down. But
yes.
I think it's fair enough. Warren Buffett retiring. He's 94 years old, the poor guy. But he's I think there's still a lot of things to iron out still, but he says he's, comfortable with hanging around and being helpful where he can. So maybe he still has some sort of input into the stock portfolio and the deal making aspect. I'm not sure, but
yeah. So the meeting was on Saturday, and he kind of announced this at the end of the meeting, and then on Sunday, the next day, the board of directors actually met and voted on that decision, and they all voted that as of the 1st of January 2026, Greg Abel will be the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, but notably Warren Buffett will be staying on as chairman of the board. So he's still on the board of directors. And so, yeah, you're right. Like we don't know to what extent his ongoing involvement will be at Berkshire, but you'd have to imagine it's going to be pretty significant still. And I would imagine if there's any big deals that Berkshire is handling, I would be extremely surprised if Buffett isn't kind of all over those deals or heavily involved in those deals. Probably, again, until the day he dies, because I can't imagine him being the kind of person who actually just, fully retires ever.
Yeah, so that was probably the biggest bit of news, Warren Buffett retiring. But during the meeting, Buffett also spoke at length about some topics that have definitely been popping up over the last probably 6 to 12 months, I would say.
Yep.
But interestingly, I thought one of the most interesting things was Buffett actually gave some commentary on what we've seen in the stock market happening over the past few months. Of course, we've seen tremendous volatility, all on the back of Trump's trade policies, but we saw the stock market, or the S&P 500, I should say, drop effectively 20%. And has since almost recovered, I should say as well. But Buffett was asked about what he thought about the current market, whether he's finding any sort of deals. And to that, he pretty much said that this is not something that's of any relevance. This is just an extremely hot market, kind of cooling by 20%. And he was asked whether he was finding any deals, and he said no. They said that they almost found a place to put $10 billion not too long ago, but they refused to elaborate. They wouldn't tell us what that was, because they didn't pull the trigger in the end. So I thought that was quite interesting. I guess I myself was wondering, whether this 20% drop was enough to entice Buffett or to help him start to find any deals. And ultimately the answer was no, and we can talk about that a little bit later in the 13Fs, because Buffett really didn't do much in the 13Fs. But I thought it was interesting. 20% drop in the market and still nothing of interest for Buffett.
No, he pretty much pretty significantly downplayed what has been kind of happening. A couple of quotes from the meeting. He said the recent turbulence was, quote, really nothing. He said there's been 3 times since we've acquired Berkshire that Berkshire has gone down 50% and nothing fundamentally was wrong with the company. He said this has not been a dramatic bear market or anything of the sort. And just one other quote: if it makes a difference to you whether your stocks are down 15% or not, you need to get somewhat of a different investing philosophy, because the world is not going to adapt to you. Essentially saying this is just probably one of, in all likelihood, it's just one of the many 5, 10, 15% corrections that the market just makes over time, because investors don't always get everything right. And especially this year, it's pretty much all been about kind of trade policy, and trade policy has been very volatile. No one really knows what is going to happen with it. So when the market thinks there's going to be tons of tariffs, the market falls. And now that a lot of the tariffs have been kind of reduced, the market is, kind of correcting to respond to that. And we might not have seen the end of that turbulence this year, but it's just a reflection.
We shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. And it's just a reflection of the market trying to figure out where things should be.
I guess that kind of leads us into another big topic that Warren was asked about, and that was Trump's tariffs specifically. And I didn't think that he would add this much flavor, but he really did kind of take a good solid 5 minutes to really lay down the law as to what he thinks about these tariffs. And it's fair to say he was not particularly impressed with them. I think maybe you've got the quotes, Hamish, but he was really hooking in, saying, these, tariffs can be an act of war, and he was giving examples about how the world works so much better when we kind of lift each other up as opposed to try and push each other down. And the way that he was talking about it definitely kind of gave me the sense that he is very anti this tariff regime, and he's definitely more of a globalist. He definitely thinks that we should be kind of helping each other out and conducting mutually beneficial trade.
Yeah, I think the kind of the 2 big quotes from the meeting were, as you said, there's no question that trade can be an act of war. I think it can lead to bad things. And he said that trade should not be used as a weapon. And one other quote should be that we should be looking to trade with the rest of the world. Those are the quotes that reflect his view on. He's not a huge fan of the aggressive tariff and protectionist policies that Trump had been using and is now kind of winding back a little bit with some of these deals we've seen recently.
Yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. There, what were some of the other things that he spoke about, Hamish?
I mean, of course, his cash pile. You touched on this slightly just before, but his cash pile, which continues to grow, was a big topic of discussion. In total, Berkshire now has $348 billion in cash and short-term investments, which is almost all of it is short-term US Treasury bills. So 30-day, 60-day. Very short-term investments in government debt, and it now represents about 28% of total assets. So he does have a huge amount of kind of cash sitting on the sidelines, and there was a lot of questions about it. There was one question that was quite funny about whether he's kind of putting Greg Abel in a position to have lots of cash to make deals when he takes over from the company. And he kind of jokingly dismissed this, saying, quote, "I wouldn't do anything nearly as so noble as to withholding investing myself just so that Greg could look good later on." So he kind of dismissed the idea that this has anything to do with his succession plan to kind of protect Greg from and make sure that he has lots of cash to put to work. It really all just comes down to that was quite good. But it does all just come down to the availability of opportunities. And he just doesn't see anything that he wants to put the cash to work, and he has never felt as though he needs to invest cash the moment that it kind of comes in from his businesses. As you said, they mentioned coming close to spending $10 billion not that long ago, but he emphasized that they would, if they could, spend $100 billion on the right deal. He said, quote, "Those decisions are not tough to make. When something is offered that makes sense to us and offers good value and where we don't worry about losing." And then he kind of went on to say, "The one problem with the investment business is that things don't come along in an orderly fashion, and they never will." And so that's just the nature of the game of investing. I think another quote was he'd love it if, every year there was kind of 4 opportunities that just came across every single year, 4 opportunities that he could deploy money into. But that's just not how it works. It's usually these rare moments, maybe when there's a market-wide event like 2008 where he gets to deploy a lot of money all at once. But the investing business is a lot of waiting. And so that's where we're at.
Yeah, very good. And then I think we've spoken about market volatility, cash pile, trade war. I guess the last thing that was really notable to me was when he was talking about US debt. And Elon Musk's Doge. I thought that was quite interesting. He was pretty much just asked, what do you think happens with the US debt situation? Is it something that needs to be done? Does something need to be done about it? Are we going to a bad place? And he basically said that, something does need to be done. But he's just not sure whether the current, I guess, incentive structure of government can actually make a ding in the debt. So he was actually talking quite favorably about Elon Musk's Doge. Didn't make direct comment on it, but he definitely said that, something needs to be done and good luck to them doing it to try and rein in that deficit. Do you have any particular thoughts on this kind of section, what Buffett was saying about US debt?
Yeah, not really. I think the main thing he said was, it's an unsustainable path, but to get the deficit, to kind of reduce the deficit, which the US has been in deficit for like 25 years now or something, which if you look at the whole history of the US, that's not normal. Usually the deficits only appear during wars and during recessions where extra spending is needed to stimulate the economy. And then during good economic times, they run a surplus to kind of make up for that. Recently, that has not been the case at all. So he's calling this kind of an unsustainable path. And you're right, it's the way that government is kind of structured doesn't make it easy to reduce it, because that would mean raising taxes or cutting social programs. And both of those are deeply unpopular and just very hard to campaign on. To campaign on, we're going to raise taxes and cut your social programs because we need to help the country is much more difficult to sell to people than, well, we're going to cut your taxes and we're going to increase your social programs. So it's just difficult to fix it. So yeah, I think, the main quote that he had from, in relation to this was, the fiscal policy is what scares me in the United States because of the way it is, all the motivations for doing a lot of things that will cause trouble with money. So yeah, he just essentially said it scares him and that it's an unsustainable path. But he didn't talk all that much about what can be done, I think, to fix it, as far as I could tell.
No, I think he basically just said good luck to whoever's going to try.
Yeah, like he wouldn't want to be the one trying to fix it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that were probably the main things to come out of the Berkshire meeting. I can't really think of too much else groundbreaking. I mean, there was a lot of ground covered on various topics, but I'm not particularly interested in, insurance matters and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think this is probably the more broader Buffett commentary on what's going on at the current time. Unless you can think of anything else, Hamish?
No, I think that's just about it. Yeah. That's those were the main ones, yeah.
Any further? Oh, one thing I did want to say, actually, while we're on the topic of the Berkshire meeting, is thanks to everybody who came up and said hello.
True.
And had a chat to us. It's always, that makes the event so much more fun. When we get to interact with you guys on the floor. So yeah, it was really, really cool. You make us feel like celebrities. You make us feel like we're famous on the Berkshire floor.
It's our 5 minutes of fame, and then we can come back.
It is. Yeah, our 5 minutes of fame walking around the Berkshire floor. No, it's really good fun. Really enjoy talking to you guys. Everyone's super polite, super respectful. Yeah. And it's just good. Like we're all there for the same reason. We're all talking about a common interest. It's just it's a good time. So yeah, appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who said hello. Yeah. And I guess we'll see you there next year. If you haven't been to one, I don't know. I'm sure they'll keep doing the Berkshire meetings.
Yes.
Even though Buffett's stepping down.
Yeah. I'll be shocked.
It'll probably just get less popular.
Yeah. I mean, unless he's really sick or anything like that, I would be shocked if he's not just hosting another meeting next year.
You reckon Buffett will still host the Berkshire meeting? Or maybe he'll just sit next to Abel, but maybe Greg will host it. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work.
I would be kind of surprised if he's not doing another meeting, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think they'll keep the Berkshire meeting going anyway. It just might not be quite as popular, especially once Buffett passes away.
Yeah.
Unless Greg and Ajit can bring the same vibe as Warren and Charlie,
Yeah.
Which I don't think so. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, but we'll keep going. As long as it works, as long as it's economically viable to do so, we'll keep going. So yeah, definitely. If you haven't been to one of the meetings, definitely recommend it. It's a good time. It's also fun. You get to meet famous investors. You get to meet Guy Spear. You get to meet Monish Prabrai. I think Phil Town might be there next year.
Oh really?
Yeah. There's a lot of fun things. Matt Peterson's there as well. He's really fun to hang around with. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. But anyway, all right. Shall we move on to some 13Fs?
Yes. I didn't. I haven't actually looked too closely at many of these 13Fs because it must have just come out this morning, and I'm excited to see. Have there been some big changes? What have we got?
Have there been? Well, Hamish, you will have to wait and see. AKA, not really. Yeah. No, we'll go through the list. There's still some interesting enough things going on. Some people moving and shaking a little bit more than others. Michael Burry of note, he's gone ahead and done something crazy. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's start with the biggest, the baddest, the guy we're just talking about, Mr. Warren Buffett himself. Not too much happening in his 13F. His biggest move was that he reduced 7.15% in Bank of America, which was his second largest position not too long ago. It's now down to the fourth largest position behind Apple, Amex, and Kolk. It is now 10.19% of the Berkshire portfolio. So trimming Bank of America, that will also be a theme in a little bit when I talk about another super investor. The most notable addition was a 113% increase to Constellation Brands, which is beer. They do beer, wine, and spirits. They have a couple of brands, beer brands, wine brands, spirit brands. And the most notable sell out is they finally sold out of Citigroup.
Right.
So they have kicked Citi down to somebody else.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much the most notable stuff. Sorry, you had something to say, Hamish?
No, all I was going to say was we should mention that, so this is Q1, right? So Q1 ends on the 31st of March, and some of the more significant market declines that we saw happened in April. And so if there were any investors that made any moves at kind of the bottom of that kind of 20% crash that we saw, or around kind of the Liberation Day announcement, which turned into Liquidation Day for a couple of days there for the markets. We won't see any of that in these filings, and so that's just something to keep in mind. That technically, it's possible that someone like Buffett actually has deployed some cash, and we haven't seen it yet. But there was no mention of that at the meeting or anything, and so, but yeah, we'll just keep that in mind.
Good to note. Let's move on to Guy Spear. Guy Spear, it shows an addition of core natural resources. Hamish, have you ever heard of core natural resources?
Sounds familiar. Was that one of Monish's? I think Monish held that for a little while.
Yeah. The reason I chucked that one at you is because core natural resources is simply a merger of Consol Energy and Arch Resources, which happened in January.
Oh, okay.
Those two companies were merged to form Core. So Guy Spear, it shows that he has purchased Core, but I don't know if that was simply just because I think he had one of the other ones.
Right.
So yeah, but then that's pretty much all that happened in Guy's portfolio. But then if we talk about Monish, he actually sold out of Core Natural Resources.
Oh, interesting.
So
yeah, so
the two companies merged, and he was bouncing out of there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if the investment was a kind of a play on that merger, and now that the merger is completed, he gets out.
Maybe.
Or he's not interested in one of the companies that merged with the company that he held, which I believe was Arch Resources, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe he owned both of them, actually. I
feel like he's owned both of them over the last little while.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Clearly he's not interested in the stock anymore. Does he still own any of his what does he have? Coal companies, I think he was mostly looking at.
The coal investments, yeah. He actually, he has trimmed back. He's reduced Alpha Metallurgical Resources by 15%. But there was a small addition to Warrior Met Coal as well. But interestingly, he has added two stocks to the portfolio, Noble Corp and Valaris. Yep. And they are both offshore drilling contractors serving the global oil and gas industry.
Drill, baby, drill.
So, drill, baby, drill. Yeah. When coal isn't enough, let's go to oil and gas, add that in the portfolio as well. Yep. God, his Monish's portfolio isn't winning any environmental awards this year, is it?
Yeah, no moral compass awards.
Nah, he's not getting the Green Thumb of the Year award, that's for sure. But that was Monish Pabrai. Lee Lu, this is what I was saying. We have to remember Bank of America from before. Warren Buffett reduced. Lee Lu also reduced Bank of America. That was his largest position. He reduced 23%, and it's now 26% of his portfolio.
Right.
Of note, in Lee Lu's portfolio, he also reduced 19% in his Google C shares. They're the ones with no voting rights. And that was pretty much it. At the very, very bottom of his portfolio, he's also continuing to cut back Apple shares. Last quarter, he reduced 58%, and this quarter, he reduced another 65%.
Wow.
So reasonably interesting, Lee Lu, trimming, getting rid of some Bank of America, getting rid of some Google C shares, getting rid of some Apple.
Yeah.
Seth Klarman, he did quite a bit actually at the top of his portfolio. He reduced 17% in his largest position, which is Willis Towers Watson, which is I had to look this up, a professional services firm that helps big companies manage risk, design employee benefit plans, optimize insurance costs, and advise on people and performance strategies. So I didn't know this, but it's actually, this company is used by 95% of the FTSE 100 and 91% of the Fortune Global 500. So it's a big company, or a pretty well utilized company that I'd just not really come across. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before.
No.
But,
never heard of it.
Yeah, Seth Klarman's biggest position, but he trimmed 17%. He also added 46% to Google, which is his second largest position. It's now 9.3% of the portfolio. Added 39% to Wesco, which is his third largest position, and then reduced 38% to Liberty Global Series C, the multinational telecommunications company, which is his fourth largest. So he's had some pretty decent swings in the four largest stocks in his portfolio. This time around.
We haven't heard too much from Seth. He doesn't do too many interviews anymore. He did one.
He's so quiet.
He did one on CNBC. I don't know if it was even last year. It might have even been the year before. I think it was something like his first public interview in like 10 years or something. It was a very long time.
Yeah.
It might have even been longer than that.
Yeah.
So we don't see too much of him, but I always like listening to him talk because he is a very kind of classic Buffett kind of value investor. And the way he speaks is really fantastic. So I encourage anyone to go and check out the limited number of interviews and stuff that he kind of has that's on there on YouTube. Yep. But be interesting to see. Hopefully we get another interview from him soon.
He's one of the few people that Buffett has actually said that he would trust money with.
Yes, yeah. He's done incredibly well, as you know, of course. But I think it was like close to a 30% per year return for quite a while, I believe, was his performance. So
it's so crazy.
He's done well. He's done well.
Hamish, tell me about your buddy.
Yeah, this is the one that
Bill.
I looked at this morning, which was Bill Ackman's portfolio, which we spoke a little bit about actually a couple of months ago because Ackman does this thing. So everyone else on this list kind of waits to the last minute to tell us about their investments, the last minute of the reporting dates, because they want to keep it shielded from the public. Bill does the exact opposite. The moment he makes an investment, he tells everyone about it, which is not market manipulation at all. But, you know, he does that. But anyway, so a couple of months ago, he already told us about... I said it's not. I'm just saying it's not. It's definitely not.
Yeah. To be clear, Hamish said it's not market
manipulation. Yeah, it's not. But a couple of months ago, he announced that he had made this significant investment in Uber. And today we can see the specific numbers around it. It's the biggest position in his portfolio. He has 30 million shares worth $2.2 billion. And it actually represents 18% of the portfolio of his, the US stocks. So it's a massive position that he has now in Uber. It's his darling. He also, his second largest position, Brookfield Corp, was increased by 18%, and it is also 18% of the portfolio. He actually cut Hilton Hotels. He cut it by 44%, slashed it in half, and it's now just the 9th biggest position. Maybe.
Wait, he still holds some Hilton? Hamish, I thought Hilton was going to zero.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I'm pretty sure I heard him say that once.
I think so. Yeah, I thought all the hotel companies were going to zero. That's weird.
Apparently,
no, they still exist.
Yeah.
There are still hotels, right? I think so. Funny.
Bill's. He's one day you guys are gonna meet, and he's gonna look you square in the eyes,
and he's not gonna know who I am. He's not gonna know.
I know you. Where do I know you from? That's right.
Yeah.
You're that guy that made that video on me.
You know, it's so funny because, I did a video talking about that ridiculous CNBC interview, but that video did so well, it's now worrying me because every time Bill Ackman's in the news, I Google Bill Ackman and I click videos on Google and it's always up there with the news.
Always number one, baby.
If he's ever checking like the news, like what's ranking for his news topics.
I feel like he is. I feel like he's the type of guy that actually would Google his own name, you know?
That's the problem, is this guy, he's also one of those people who's like a constant tweeter. Like he tweets like 30 times a day.
Yeah.
So you know that he's just dialed into what's happening on the internet. And he does seem like he'd be someone who likes to care about his like public image. And so, hopefully he hasn't seen it, but I don't know. We'll see.
What's going on with his Nike position?
Yes. So, this was an interesting one. I was actually surprised to see this because he sold his entire Nike position, which he only bought less than a year ago. He bought it in Q2 of 2024, and it was 11% of the portfolio. So it was pretty significant, and he's completely out. The stock, I was just taking a look. It looks like he most likely lost money on the investment. The stock's down 32% in the last year, although he had been adding over the late quarters in 2024, so his loss might not be as bad as that, or anywhere near as bad as that. But it does look like he's lost money on that deal. So but he's out.
Interesting. See you later.
See you later.
That's crazy.
Yeah, tell us about Michael Burry, because I did actually I saw this one as well.
Oh, man.
Because this one is kind of insane, but it's also Michael Burry. So
I'll tell you what happened. I'll save my commentary and I'll just tell you exactly what happened. So Michael Burry sold his entire portfolio, and then he bought Estee Lauder.
Yeah, as you do. So, you know?
Estee Lauder, he must be extremely keen on Estee Lauder, let me tell you. He's like, sell it all. Wait, Estee Lauder.
Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah.
So he has currently one stock in his US portfolio, and that being Estee Lauder. And he sold Alibaba, he sold Baidu, he sold JD, he sold Pinduoduo, he sold everything else. And just if that wasn't enough, Hamish, he has also put option contracts against Nvidia, Alibaba, Pinduoduo, JD.com, Trip.com, and Baidu.
Yeah. This is quite bearish, I would say.
Yeah. He's gone from having one portfolio to having the exact opposite of that portfolio in 3 months.
Yeah, and to be fair, Burry is he does call himself a value investor, but he does do a lot of trading. So it's not unusual to see him chop and change the portfolio a lot. But this one in particular
and he uses options a lot.
He does, yeah. And this one in particular is pretty significant. I will also note the size of the US portfolio has gone from 77 million to 13 million. So it's not as if he sold everything and put all that money into Estee Lauder. He's sold everything. He's invested in Estee Lauder, but there's a lot of cash that is unaccounted for. So it could be in foreign investments that he doesn't have to report on. It could be cash. It could be gold. No, it couldn't be. If he was buying gold, he'd probably do it through a gold trust stock.
Guess it could be.
It could be directly owned in gold.
True.
Or it could be he could be making short positions that are not options contracts. He could be buying like credit default swaps or something like that. And so, yeah, it seems quite bearish, I would say. We haven't really heard anything from Burry as well. He used to do a lot of tweeting, and then he stopped doing that after he tweeted sell or something, and then the market ripped, and then he was like
the SEC,
and then he was like, "I'm sorry, guys, I didn't actually mean to."
Yeah, I think also maybe the SEC or the feds got onto him and be like, "Hey, mate, what are you doing?
Yeah, stop pushing things around."
Yeah.
But yeah, he's quite bearish.
Yeah, I'm trying to. So you're right, Hamish. The bottom. I'm just trying to look at when the bottom of this recent market was, and it was on the 8th of April. You're right. So, so by the I'm just trying to figure out by the end of March, it still had another 11% to fall. So you're right. So Burry potentially has
cleaned up,
has made decent coin off of these trades, because this was reported. on the 31st of March. So he had these positions, these bets against the market on the 31st, and then it went down another 11%. So I would assume, considering he's not someone to think ultra long term, I would imagine he would have taken those profits.
Yep.
And he hasn't continued to hold through the recent 18% increase. So I would hazard a guess that that's actually quite a good little short-term bet from Michael Burry.
Yeah. Most likely he's made money.
Most likely, yeah. We can't say for sure, obviously.
This is Q1, right? So I guess it's technically possible that he did all of this on the 1st of January and then sold them all before the market actually crashed at all, right?
Actually, true. That's
no,
because
then they wouldn't be his hold. That wouldn't be his positions at the end of the quarter. No, so yeah.
Well, what do you mean? Yeah, if he still holds them, but through the end of the quarter.
Yeah. So
so he could have bought them as early. Yeah, he could have bought them as early as January 1st.
Right.
But actually, even still, the whole quarter, the whole quarter was just a downtrend. Yeah. So he's probably done very well.
Yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, we have to wait.
There's no ultra low point that he might have bought at earlier in the year.
No, exactly. But yeah, unfortunately, we have to wait another 3 months to find out what it looks like. But
for the next season,
for the next season, yeah. What's the stock? He'll just be 100% gold, or he'll be 100% in
who knows,
Uber stock or something.
Something wild.
Something insane.
Yeah, something wild. Yeah. Go back to those private prison stocks or something.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
Anyway, all right. So I think that rounds us out, does it not? Do we?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not on the right page. Do we have anything else to talk about, or that's it?
Yeah, that's just about all we got.
That's it. Yeah. We're fresh out of stuff to talk about. Yep. Oh, coming in at about 45 minutes. That's perfect timing, Hamish.
My voice is just about holding up.
Yeah.
So.
And now Hamish has a short 10-minute message that he'd like to... I'm going to let him monologue for the next 10 minutes because he's got something very important that he wants to tell you all.
I'm actually going to...
Hamish...
I'm actually going to sing.
Just keep talking,
I'm just going to sing for like two...
Sing! He's going to sing. What song are you going to sing? 2 straight... Gosh. You're going to be like that guy in the US that, I don't know, gave that speech in Congress for like 18 hours or whatever it was.
What?
What do they call it when that happens?
I didn't see that.
I can't remember what it's called when they do that. I don't know. Anyway. All right, we're waffling. We're out of here. Thanks, guys. Thanks very much for tuning in, as always. Sorry there was a bit of a break, a little bit of a gap between drinks, but we've been busy and sick.
Yeah.
So apologies.
Yeah.
But we're here.
Yep.
We're back.
We're back.
All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks, guys, for listening. Thanks, Hamish, for joining me, as always. Hope you're feeling better soon, mate.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you guys.